All right. Let's turn on my good camera here. All right. Hey, folks. Happy Thursday and welcome. Here we go. Better camera. Welcome to the pricing workshop for freelancers. Glad to have you here. I'm just going to give a moment here while more people roll in. Really exciting to see all of you here. Just want to take a few moments just to say, hey, how's it going? Introduce yourself. Let me know if you can see and hear me all right. If the sound's good, the video's good. And also let me know where you're from, and what you do. Maybe something like web designer from, Florida, or, writer from Germany, whatever you want to say. Just give me an introduction as to who you are, where are you coming from? And, maybe I don't want to give you too much homework. Who are you? Where are you from? Are you a freelancer? Are you a designer, writer? What's up? We got a lot of familiar faces here. A lot of people from my Freelancing Freedom program. So that's really cool to see everybody here. We've got Alea. We've got, let's see, Harold, Matthew. Lots of chats happening here. Doug, good to see you. Aaron, good to see you. Let's start from the top here. Hey, Roland. Roland was the first one in the house. There's Roland right there. Welcome. Glad to have you here. And he has good vibes. Love it. Good to see you here, Alea. Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome. Nice to see you. Harold as well. We got Soul. Cool name, by the way. Darren. Good to see you, Darren. And Kevin. Awesome. We got Rich from the greater Chicago area. That's very cool. Hello, everyone. Raising a glass of good Catalan red. Whoa, that's that sounds tasty. I just got Americano, which, by the way, is very good. Let's see. We got the Seb Dizzle from Toronto. Good to see you, fellow Canadian, over there in the T dot. Kingsley, we got Connecticut. That's great. Doug from India. Sorry, not Doug. Doug is not from India, but Payal is from India. Okay, let's see. What's everybody up to here? We got a web designer from Boise, Idaho. That's Joanne. Awesome. Rich is a freelancer on instructional design from the greater Chicago area. Arden is a musician portfolio designer from Sweet Home, Alabama. Love it. That's so cool. Bill, aloha all. I can guess where you're from. Photographer and web designer from Hawaii. I imagine your pictures are quite beautiful. Sean, we got Sean from Nebraska. Good to see you. Gina Evans from SC. I'm assuming that's South Carolina. Beth from CA, California. Am I getting that right? Remember, folks, I'm Canadian, so I'm going off of my high school geography classes to make sure I remember. We had to remember all the states, so all our provinces and territories, but we also had to remember all of the states and their capitals and everything like that. Don't ask me to give you all the capitals of all the states, but I'm just kind of going off of my grade 9, geography. Beginner web designer Shannon from Washington. Good to see you here, Shannon. Just call me Seb from the 6. That's great. This is awesome. Good to see you, folks. This is really great. Harold, he is the in-house comedian. Harold says, well, clear video, but not loud enough for me. Wink. First of all, apologies up front, Harold. There's no captions on this video right now. The replay will have captions. For everyone who doesn't know, Harold is deaf. He's one of our students, and we 98% of the time caption everything. But unfortunately, it's not very easy to caption live video with YouTube. It used to work, but now it doesn't for some reason. But don't worry, the replay will be available for everybody. But Harold, specifically, the closed captions will be available on the replay, as you know already. Okay, so that's great. So this great to see everybody here from literally all over the world. We see Matthew here from Canada's Okanagan. That is great. We got a trainer, Sean from New York City. Payal is a freelance writer from India. Web designer from Uganda. That's cool. SEO from Winnipeg. This is good stuff. Ooh, Max. And Max is here too. Excited to have Max in the house, which is actually kind of a great little segue. Just a quick heads up. As you probably know, this workshop is sponsored by Chronos Time Tracking. I'll let you know more about them later. And I've done an interesting thing with the workshop here. I kind of wanted to integrate it. I didn't want it to just be like a boring sponsor segment where, we just now a word from our sponsors and have something that's totally unrelated. I wanted to integrate the sponsor piece into the workshop so that it's actually beneficial to you and beneficial to the workshop. So it's kind of this, it serves everybody. And the reason why you're here for this workshop, the reason why it's free for you is because of Chronos Time Tracking. So big shout out to Max from chronostimetracking.com. We'll be letting you know about Chronos and the special offer they got for us, and also how it's going to be integrated into the workshop. So let's see here. We got people still chiming in and where they're from, because we got people still rolling in. Really cool. So anyone who's just joining us right now, welcome to the pricing workshop for freelancers. We're just kind of chit-chatting right now about who you are, where you're from, what I was going to quote the Backstreet Boys there and I failed, so I'm not going to go there. It's about pricing for freelancers, and we're going to jump into it here. So quick little introduction here, and then I'll switch my screen over to the presentation. My name is Brad Hussey. I'm from Southern Alberta, Canada. I'm a freelancer. I'm a marketing consultant, and I've been web designing and helping people with their marketing and their websites and their strategy for better part of, 10 years, 8 years full-time, 12 years since I built my first site. So that's, I don't want to give you this big origin story. Most of you know who I am, and anyone who doesn't know who I am, I have a thing or two that I'd like to share with you about pricing. By no means am I like the leading expert on pricing strategy or pricing psychology or any of that. This is more so just what I've found has worked for me, what I've found that has worked for my students and my clients, and what I've learned along the way. Interesting tidbits and techniques that most freelancers just don't give the time of day. And so the reason why I wanted to put this workshop together is to help you with your pricing so that you can charge what you're worth. Now, first things first, I don't really like that phrase because your worth is priceless. So to say like your worth is $80 an hour seems super, super lame. But charge what the value of what you're offering is worth. And so that's a little bit more of a mouthful, but I want to help you charge essentially a lot more for your services and for the value that you offer. And how do you do that? How do you go about asking more money from your clients? How do you go about pricing for your projects and estimating time? And, what are the different options available to us? Do we really have to always go with the hourly route? Hint, after this workshop, a lot of you, I'm hoping, will stop charging hourly or begin transitioning away from hourly rates, because that is destructive to your business. And I know that sounds like a big, bold claim, but maybe by the end of this, you will believe me. All right. So that's my little intro. We got a few more people here. Great. Roland says, thanks to Chronos for making this possible for us. Can't wait to hear more of the products you have to offer. That's great. I appreciate the kindness there, Roland. Can't wait to find out about Chronos. Freelancer resources are hard to find. That is awesome. Susan, hey all, I'm a member of the FF fam. That's what we lovingly call our group of students and clients at Freelancing Freedom, the fam. Web designer, photographer from Catalonia, Spain. Thanks, Chronos. Heart. That's so great. Cool. All right. So switching my screen here. Let me know if you could see it. Here we go. You should see a big yellow title screen with my face in the top corner in a circle. Let me know if that's good to go. And I'll get rolling here. In fact, I'm pretty sure it works just fine. On the live stream, there's a little bit of a delay. So when I ask you a question, I have to wait like 10 seconds for the answers, which means there's going to be a weird delay in the stream. And so I don't want to ruin that. So I can see the preview and it looks just fine and dandy for me. All right, so this is a workshop about pricing for freelancers. It's a practical approach to pricing your projects, earning more income, and making your clients happier by ditching hourly rates. Okay, so let's do this. Can see it, good to go, roll away. This is good, got it. We're getting affirmative. Cool. All right, so let's jump in. Where is my presentation? There it is. All right, pricing for freelancers, a workshop by me. So first things first, welcome. Like I said, here are a few things to know before we get started. This is a workshop. I'm not selling anything. A workshop in terms of my definition is different from, say, a webinar in that a webinar is a sales tool. A workshop is a learning tool. At the end of workshops, you have stuff to walk away and do. You learn something throughout it. We do stuff together during the workshop. A webinar, I sell something at the end. So this is not a webinar. Just as a heads up, I'm not going to try and pull one over on you or anything like that. If this was a webinar, I would tell you, and I would tell you straight up front that I'm going to sell something. I'm not selling anything, but what I have to let you know, which I've already said, is it's sponsored by Chronos Time Tracking. And they're hooking everybody up here with a free account and some extra freebies. And that will be at bradhussey.ca/Chronos. Feel free to go to that link now, but my recommendation is just wait until the end of the workshop so you're not distracted. With that said, if you don't mind, I'm actually going to do it with my phone as well. Put it on like do not disturb mode or airplane mode, or just throw it out the window because it's just better if we can focus together and you can learn, and so I'm not just noise in the background. If you're going to be here, be here. If you're going to be distracted, probably not worth your time. Okay. Just wanted to say that. There is going to be a replay. There's always a replay. There will always be a replay. The internet is a funny thing where when you do live stuff, it records it and it's available immediately. But I always get that question. So I just want to answer it right away. There will be a replay right here on the screen you're looking at. Whether you're looking directly on the YouTube live stream link or you are in the student dashboard at freelancingfreedom.com. The reason why I did it that way, you probably might wonder, okay, when I registered for the workshop, Brad, I got like this couple of emails from Freelancing Freedom and then a student dashboard, and I signed up with a password. Why that? Now you have access to the workshop resources, extra information, extra links, and it's in your course dashboard as a standalone course. When I'm done with this is effectively a course, but that was recorded live. So that's what this is. Bill is shocked, says, what? You're not selling anything. I'm out of here. I wanted to spend money. If you want to spend money, I can give you a few ways to do that, but we're not going to do that today. All right. We're also going to be using my pricing calculator. I sent you that resource. It's in your student dashboard at freelancingfreedom.com. Also, we will be, Alea is my business manager, by the way. She's going to say hi. You've seen her pop in the chat here a few times. She's going to put a link in the chat with the link to the pricing calculator, which we're going to be using. Okay. And I recommend you open it up, like maybe even right now, make a copy and just have it ready because we're going to be playing around with that. Okay. Take notes, a notebook, take notes, and yeah, have fun. This is going to be great. I'm excited. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of introduce what is the problem. You know, what's the problem that I'm trying to solve with the workshop? Well, first of all, I think that freelancers, all of you here, you let me know who you are. We got photographers to writers to SEO experts to web designers, developers, programmers. Freelancers are skilled practitioners. That means they're good at what they do, whether that's with their hands, with their mind, with their talents, with their artistic eye, with their knowledge. They're skilled practitioners. But what they're not good at is pricing and estimating. And they struggle more often than not with making a decent income. I think that as a freelancer, if you're going full-time, and by freelancer, it's a broad term that I simply mean self-employed individual, someone who works for themselves as a sole proprietor or has, a company of one, maybe a team member or a couple people who serve clients, people, and they sell their services. Okay. So that for me is what I mean by freelancer, not necessarily like someone who trades, like does something for $5 on Fiverr or Upwork, though that is technically a freelancer. And if we have any of those freelancers in the house, I'm hoping that this workshop will be a huge eye opener for you, that you can dramatically change how you offer your value. Okay. So freelancers are skilled, lousy at pricing projects and estimating time and making a decent income. because that's not what they're trained in. They just have to price stuff and they just are not good at it. I love pricing. I have no problem asking for money, and it's just something that I'm fascinated by. So I feel like I have something to share on it. Okay. And at any point, folks, just heads up, here's how the flow is going to work. We're going to go through the workshop. Okay. And put your questions in there. Actually, you know what? Save your questions if possible, because I don't have like a way to record them right now. I usually have like a Trello board and stuff. I didn't do that this time. Anyway, we're going to have a Q&A session, a live Q&A later in the workshop. Okay. And answer as many questions as possible. So write your questions down and we will get to them. Okay. So the fix to the problem is that what I want to do to fix this is teach freelancers how to accurately and expertly price their solutions so they can land better clients who are happy to pay their fees. So essentially make the skilled practitioner also strategic in pricing and skilled and comfortable with pricing and asking for money and a certain amount of money. Okay. So here are the topics that we're going to talk about. Why most freelancers are lousy at pricing. Dig into that just a little bit. Feel free to share, your experience as well. Like this is not, just let Brad talk the whole time. Like if you have any questions or thoughts or ideas or suggestions, throw it up in the chat. In fact, Alea just said right now, this is Alea. Everyone say hi to Alea. She's my business manager and community manager. She'll take the questions and write the questions, like just go for it. And Alea at the Q&A time will post the questions and who it's from. Sound good? Cool. All right. I'm going to go into all the pricing models that I think are relevant for you: hourly, fixed fee, retainers, value-based, day rate, weekly rate, and a few more. And I'm going to help you eliminate 100% of the guesswork as to what your price is. So literally in this next hour to 90 minutes or so, you're going to know what your base rate is, what a fixed fee would look like for a certain project, weekly rates, day rates, retainers. You're going to know what your number is. And everybody has a number for their base rate. And I'll explain what that is soon. Practical pricing tips to apply immediately. So we're going to have a little shotgun approach of here are some fun tips that you can just you probably didn't realize that you could start using to start getting away from pricing poorly and not confidently to confidently pricing and winning more deals, getting more clients, and making more revenue in your business. We're also going to dig into Chronos. I'm going to give you a demo behind the scenes of Chronos, their app and their desktop app for smart estimates, profit and loss reporting, time tracking, and how they are a wonderful tool that ties directly into this topic. And I want everyone to walk away with a free account today. And pricing questions, that's the Q&A. Cool. All right, let's dig into the meat and potatoes. Topic 1, why most freelancers are lousy at pricing. Well, they're trained, like I said, they're trained at their craft, but they're not trained in business skills like pricing, project management, strategy, marketing, sales, systems, operations. They're good at the skill, Now, hands up here or by show of words, comments, let me know if this resonates with you, if any of this resonates with you, or if you have anything you want to share about this. Do you feel like you're trained in your craft and you're pretty good or really good at what you do, but not really that comfortable at the business side of things, pricing, marketing, strategy, sales? Go ahead and just let me know. I just want you to know that you can be interactive in this chat here. Typically what happens is that because they're not good at a certain thing or not comfortable with a certain thing, they just end up copying other freelancers who sell their hours and don't actually sell outcomes, and wonder why finding clients is hard and why making money in their business is hard. It's because they're copying other freelancers who are probably copying other freelancers. And all of these freelancers are likely uncomfortable with pricing and just end up charging hourly based on what their competitors are charging. And it usually ends up being well, I read somewhere or saw that videographer X charges $45 an hour and they look like they're really good. I'm not very good like they are. So I should probably charge $35 an hour. Is that our pricing strategy today, folks? Is that how we're pricing? Okay. That's typically how it goes. Okay. Jim says, for me, it's more of a confidence thing. So that's it. So why are freelancers lousy at pricing? And again, this is not a dig at Jim or anyone specifically. It's just, you're good at what you do, but you're not trained in the skills, or like pricing, or you're maybe not confident in pricing, and maybe it's a combination. Maybe you're afraid of asking a certain amount. Okay. Let's see. The Seb Dizzle would like to learn more about the business side of things, particularly marketing and pricing. Awesome. Now, today, the Seb Dizzle, we're going to be digging into pricing specifically. So one aspect, one kind of vertical in the business side of things. But at freelancingfreedom.com, we can help with all that other stuff as well. Okay. But like I said, this is not a sales pitch, but you're more than welcome to go to freelancingfreedom.com. Okay. Rich says, I'm a noob, so I'm a sponge. Awesome. Matthew says, that was definitely the case a year ago before Freelancing Freedom. So Matthew is a student of ours, and sounds like he's been trained in the ways of my pricing methodology. Awesome. Joanne, I roll. Yeah, that's me. Cool. Let's see. Payal says, I hope you'll speak about differential pricing in this workshop. In other words, how do you estimate pricing based on where in the world clients are? For example, Indians can't pay as much as Europeans. We'll save that for the Q&A because I do want to talk about that and see what everyone else thinks. Meralda says, I feel bad when I ask for money for my freelance work. I was an employee for 20 years. I need to get rid of that limiting belief. Yes, that's another thing. A lot of freelancers, the reason why they're lousy at pricing is because they act like employees, but I call them rogue employees. So employees that aren't tied to an employer who just say, this is what we charge. You don't even have to think about pricing. Rogue employees are freelancers who are effectively working for themselves, but have no idea how to do the business side of things, pricing, management, anything like that. They just like doing their job, but now are forced to price and forced to do these other things. So they're afraid of it. They shy away from it. They avoid it, like the plague or like the coronavirus, I guess we could say. And it's bad for business. Okay. Can you imagine if you went to a coffee shop and they were afraid to ask their price for their lattes? Like they were always like, I made a really good latte and I'm really good at it. And I love making lattes, but I don't want to ask you any money. I'm really afraid to ask money. Will you pay $3, $4? No, that's too much money. $1. Okay, free. You can have it. Here's $5 and a latte. I'm so afraid of pricing. That's kind of like what freelancers end up doing. Okay, let's see. Payal says, I'm great at asking for money. I just don't know how much to ask. Cool. We're going to help. Let's see. Roland says, I fall into the group, that's for sure, especially finding clients. It's so hard, but I have an issue asking for outrageous amount. Outrageous amount, we'll talk about that, what we mean by outrageous amounts and why you think it's outrageous. And we'll get into that. That's an interesting topic as well. Okay. I have a client that I've been working with for many years as a side gig. Now that I'm freelancing full time, I have this client that expects lower prices. How would you handle this? Good question. Alea, please mark that one to come back. Okay. Because that is a good question. Okay. Topic 1. So here's another one with topic 1. Why are most freelancers are lousy at pricing is because, well, think about this. Clients don't care about your hours or your skills. So you need to stop selling those things. And instead start selling outcomes, solutions to your client's problems and the benefits of having said problems solved. So just think about why we buy things, why we buy services. Why do we go to the dentist? Do we go to the dentist because they are selling their, like say they had an ad in like on the TV or in a paper or on a social media and it said, hey, new dentist in your corner of the town. We have the latest such and such tools and such skills and dentists who just graduated from dentist school come in today to experience all of these things. Nah, I don't care. That literally doesn't matter to me. It holds no weight or value to me. I will not go there because of those things. I have a toothache that's been bugging me when I floss for like 2 years. Now, if you were to say, that same ad, that same company said, that same dentist shop, whatever you call them, dentist practice, said, suffering with toothache, yeah, we'll take care of it today. Book your spot. Like book a time today, 10% off for new customers. Oh, I'm in. Okay. Different category. So they're not selling their hours or skills. And if they are, then who cares? They're selling outcomes. solutions to problems. But why do freelancers say, hey, I'm so good at HTML. I'm such a good video person. I'm really, really fast in Photoshop or Sketch or Adobe XD or whatever the latest tool is now. I'm super, super proficient. I'm 80% skilled in Vue.js or whatever skill of the week. Who cares? Nobody cares. Your clients don't care, and they're not going to buy that. They're going to buy the solution to their problem. So if you don't know who your client is and you don't know their problem, then how can you sell them a solution to that? Well, do you see the problem here? So freelancers, you need to shift your focus from being an employee, which is just do your job. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're working for yourself, you can't just do your job. You got to actually think totally differently. You got to think like a business owner, and businesses at their core are just problem-solving mechanisms. Okay? Especially freelancers providing a service. Your service isn't HTML. Your service isn't coding. Your service isn't design. Your service is solving a problem for your client. Who's your client? What do they suffer with? How can you solve it? Okay, market that, sell that, and use your tool belt to get to the end goal. Okay? So just some thoughts on that. You got to start selling the outcomes, the solutions, and the benefits of having said solutions, the benefits of having the problem solved. Okay. So again, here's some examples, and maybe you guys feel free to chime in. I'm going to give you a few examples of the difference between selling skills versus selling an outcome. Feel free to give me an example or a thought or a question on that. So here's an example. Selling skills and hours would look something like, hey, I'm talking to a client, or maybe this is my splash page for my website. I'll build you a dynamic website using a headless CMS and Vue.js in 150 to 200 hours. Okay. I'm selling skills and hours. Okay. Now I'm going to shift that same business. I'm going to shift what I'm selling, which is an outcome. I'll have you generating 50% more online sales by Q2. Now, maybe I might even make that more specific. Maybe it's for Shopify websites, Shopify creators on Shopify, creators who have Shopify accounts and sell digital goods, physical goods. I'll have you generating 50% more online sales for your physical product by Q2. Whoa, that's an outcome I can get behind. I don't care that you're like a Shopify, certified expert or any of that. It's like, can you do what you just said you did? Is your promise believable? Is it desirable? Do I want that? Is it relevant for me? If yes, okay, I'm buying into that, and then do what you said you do. That's an example. Here's another one. I'll design your product using Adobe XD because it's more rad than Sketch. It'll take probably 75 to 128 hours. Selling skills versus selling an outcome. Your product will be impossible to miss on the shelves. So we have a student in the Freelancing Freedom launch course who designs physical products that end up on retail shop shelves. And in that world, it's important for your product to stand out, especially if it's up against a huge company that has the budget to get better spots on the shelves. So how can you compete? You got to stand out. And you got to appear relevant so that you can catch the eye of the person going by. So this person could say, I'm really good in Adobe XD and it's really a rad tool and I can get it done in 120 hours. What do you mean? I don't care. What is Adobe XD? Is that something that I should be concerned about? Or, yeah, your product, it's going to be competing and blowing these other companies out of the water with people with 10 times the budget as you. Sound good? All right. So let's see here. Alea says, your service is the solution. And Roland says, that's right. I agree with you, Brad. Start with selling the outcomes and the solutions. Nice. It seems that most of the time the client doesn't care about the industry jargon you use. Yes, you are right. In fact, they probably, there you go, Sunny, they probably don't care at all about the jargon. You're right. The only person who cares about the jargon, maybe the pop quiz. Who cares about which person cares about your skills and your hours? Because there's a delay, I'm going to give you a couple seconds, but then I'll give you the answer. So who is the person that cares the most? Now, there's actually two people who care the most about that. Who cares the most about your skills and how many skills you have and your hours? The answer, first and foremost, is an employer, because they need to know how much you're going to cost routinely every month on salary with benefits and such. And if the skills you have outweigh what they're paying you, because they need to fill a pocket in their company. Nothing wrong with that. If I need to hire a web designer, I need to make sure that they have certain skills in order to fill the role as web designer in my business. Okay? And I need to give you a certain price that I value. Okay? Exactly. Employers, a job interview and boss. You got it. Nailed it. Ourselves. Yep. 100%. You definitely scored. You definitely scored a free Chronos account. bradhussey.ca/Chronos. See how I did that? That was fun. All right, here's another one. Whoa, what just happened? That was explosive. Okay, here's another one. This one's funny. I use the best, most reliable power tools available. It'll cut man hours down by 10%. Who cares? Versus, we'll build a backyard you'll never want to leave. Take that, quarantine. What? Yeah, I'm going to hire those people, right? It works for any of your industries. Writers, designers, creatives, coders, programmers, developers, strategists. I don't care about your resume. I care about me. Essentially, that's what your customer's saying. So stop talking about yourself and start talking about how you're going to help me, because then I'll help you. I'll gladly give you money, and I'll gladly keep giving you money, and I'll gladly tell other people to give you money because you do what you said you did, what you do. Does that make sense? You did what you said you do. And what you said you do is very important to me, right? And Rich says, hey, how about me? Yeah, that's another one. We ourselves care about the skills and the time we spend and the skills that we have. But that's fine. Keep it to yourself. Okay? Okay, here's another one. Actually, no, that was enough for examples. So if by the end of this, even if I can't convince you to stop charging hourly, because the point of this is like, I want you to start getting away from charging hourly. Some cases you have to, okay? I get it. It's not so cut and dried, but I want you to start transitioning away from hourly, because probably 80% of the time you don't need to charge hourly, and you probably really shouldn't. So even if I can't totally convince you that hourly is bad for business and switch to the value-based day rates or fixed rates models, what you will do is stop selling your skills and hours like a total rookie or rogue employee and start landing more deals. You'll be more confident, and you'll start selling outcomes that your clients actually desire. And you'll start to see like, whoa, this actually works. It's like magic, but it's not. It's just basic pricing strategy brought to you by Brad. Okay. So that's topic one. Topic two, we're going to get into some pricing models. This is a little bit more of the meat of the thing. Okay. Pricing models we're going to talk about are 6 of them. There's 6 pricing models I want to talk about. There's probably some other creative ones in there. In fact, I added another one in just recently. But these are the 6 that are probably most relevant to you. Hourly rates, fixed rates, weekly rates, day rates, value-based rates, and retainers. Okay? These are the pricing models that you're going to use in your service-based business as a freelancer, as a consultant, as a coach, as a expert providing a service. Lawyers, designers, writers, accountants, business consultants, marketing freelancers and strategists, copywriters, designers, developers, all sorts of people. Okay. Let's dig into hourly rates. Feel free to add to this list. In fact, while I spout off what's good and what's bad, and this is the model I'm going to use here. For each of them, I'm going to tell you what the thing is, tell you what's good, tell you what's bad, show you how you can find out what your rate is using the pricing calculator. Okay. So What's good about hourly rates? Feel free to chime in the chat and let me know maybe where I have some holes in my presentation, or maybe some creative things that I did not think about or just didn't have room to put on the page. So feel free to share what's good about hourly rates. Well, here's my crack at it. It's really popular. Everyone knows how hourly rates work, okay? Hourly rates, you put a dollar amount to your hour. Every hour you work, that's how much money you are owed or are paid. It's expected. Clients expect it. You expect it. It's pretty straightforward. You're selling time for money. Now, that is a double-edged sword. It's actually one of the bad reasons as well, but it's also a good reason. So your time is valuable, and you should be reimbursed for the time that you give someone. Your time is the most valuable asset or commodity that you have, like your time. If you give your time away, you can't get it back. Okay, so spend it wisely. Now in business, you should be paid for that time. Particularly if you're using hourly rates. If you work for 4 hours, then you are owed 4 hours of pay. Make sense? You get paid for every hour you work. That's another benefit. What's good about it? So if you're working 6 hours or 12 hours or 30 hours, that's how much money you're owed. Pretty straightforward. Okay. It also helps discourage scope creep. Scope creep simply means you tell your client you're going to do this, and your client starts asking for things outside of what you said you could offer them. So scope creep simply means like your client won't creep outside of the scope of the project and start asking for things that they shouldn't. Because if they start asking for those things, you're just going to charge for it, right? Okay. So that is what's good about hourly rates. Feel free to chime in, folks. Don't hesitate to let me know what you think about hourly rates, and what's good about hourly rates. Now, what's bad, okay, about hourly rates is you're a commodity or an expense. You're viewed as an expense in terms of the person hiring you, your client. You're a commodity. You're an expense. How much are you going to cost? How much is this going to be on our expense line in the profit and loss sheet at the end of the year? Your earning potential is severely capped. So if you're working 8 hours a day, which hint, hint, I'll show you in the pricing calculator, you're not. You might be working 8 hours a day, but you're billing 6, 5, 4 hours. So at most, you're going to bill 8 hours in the day or 10. And the only way you can make more money is start working way more hours, which that's not the point of working for yourself and enjoying it, or charging a lot more money for your hourly rate, which gets increasingly harder and harder when you are selling hours. Because if you're selling your hours at $280 an hour and you seem kind of just the same as this other person who's charging $10 an hour, who am I going to go with? When I'm thinking about expenses, I'm going to go with the cheap person. Okay. So because here's the next one. Clients are focused on your schedule, not the value of your work. When they're thinking about you as an expense, you took their eye off the ball. You selfishly said, stop thinking about the problems that you have and the solutions that I can potentially offer, and start always thinking about making sure I don't go over the estimated time that I said I would complete something. Now they're thinking about profit, loss, expenses, and commodities, not I am going to have this problem solved and I literally cannot wait. Okay. It also discourages fast turnaround. Why would you work faster? If you said it's going to take 10 hours and you're like, ooh, I'm going to get, $1,000 for that. But you work faster and you only get $200. That sucks. Right? Okay. So let's see. What do we got here? What everyone else is saying. So Dolly says bad is spend or waste time tracking hours. Yep. That's another thing. If you're always trying to remember to track time and you're tracking hours and you're busy with the administrative tasks, that eats into your billable hours and therefore you lose out on money. And that compounds, and an hour wasted a day is like what, 250 or however many working days in the year you'd have of wasted hours. That's a lot of wasted hours. Okay. Susan says, is an hourly rate only good for a 2-minute job that needs a round up figure? Is an hourly rate only good for a 2-minute job that needs a round up figure? I'll get to that, but a quick answer to that is Quick 2-minute jobs should not be hourly. You should just do fixed fees for those, especially. We'll get into that. Good question. Jess says, as you get faster, you need to charge more, but people push back against raising your rates. Yes. So you get better, you get faster. If you're getting faster, you need to charge more, because that means the better you become at your skill, the less money you make. That makes no sense. So if what used to take you 5 hours now takes you 1 hour, does that mean that you should be making like a fifth less money, or you should be charging 5 times as much? No. So you see how it doesn't work? It doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense. Okay. Max says it can be easier to close the initial sale, but often that's due to underquoting. Then you end up having to sell the client on additional hours in order to deliver on the outcomes you promised. Yes, that's a huge problem, because I'm laughing because I did this all the time. Coffee break. I used to go, tell me if this resonates with you. I'm so excited I got this client that I don't want to lose. They're on the hook. They grabbed the bait, but now I need to reel them in. But I don't want to scare them away by asking for too much money. So I underestimate on purpose because I'm afraid. And then they go, what? Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah, that sounds fair. Now you've set the expectation that that's what it costs, that's what you cost. And now they're thinking about expenses, even if they're low expenses. They said yes. You get to the barrier, the edge of to the project where you go, I'm out of hours. And now I know it's going to take me at least 20 more hours. Client's not going to be happy. Client is trusting that you are good at hourly rates and good at estimating time, which one, you're probably not. Statistically speaking, people suck at estimating how long things take. Ask my wife, who might even be watching right now and nodding her head. How long is it going to take you to do this? How long are you going to be? I'll be 5 minutes. More like an hour. Okay, we're chron optimists. We think things are going to be faster than they actually are going to be. Plus, compound that with we're afraid of asking too much money because we're insecure. Yeah, you're going to have a big problem. Okay. What do we got here? Time tracking triggers my anxiety and makes me less productive. Bad for the client as well as me. I don't like hourly rates either. So why are so many people focused on it? It's a mystery. Well, I don't think it's a mystery. I think it is just because we don't know better. We're ignorant and we're afraid, and we haven't practiced better methods. So I'm going to solve that. That's the problem that I introduced at the top of this. My thesis for this presentation is you'll no longer be ignorant after this workshop. You'll no longer be afraid because I'll show you how to deal with it and how it's actually very exciting to change how you do things. And you'll have ways to practice it. I'm going to solve that problem for you. No mystery anymore. Mystery be gone. Let's see. Seb Dizzle says, I used to work in IT consulting where hourly billing is the norm. I'd imagine many freelancers come from that line of thinking. They do. But you're running your own business. You're not working for somebody else's company or firm or agency or startup. You are not an employee anymore. You are a business that's selling outcomes. You should be. All right. I've been a lifetime freelancer, so that makes sense why I don't get the attachment to it. Okay. Makes sense. Yeah. Elea says, we also have to understand there are coaches and consultants who hourly may work for. Yes. Hourly is a model. It's there. It's tried and true. And sometimes it just makes total sense. Okay. I'm not saying completely wipe it from the table because it might not make sense for certain, say, app development projects, certain ongoing work from clients that there's no scope. And it's just, I have a list of things that needs to be taken care of. And you're happy with your rate. I'm happy with the time. You've got it dialed in and it works. Okay. That's okay. But 80% of the time, hourly is not a good idea. But 100% of the time, freelancers are charging hourly. Doesn't add up. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do now is what I want to talk about here is a base rate. Whether or not you end up charging a client on an hourly basis, your hours have a value associated with it. So hourly still matters because you have a cost or a value associated with your specific hour, your specific life, your specific journey. I call it the base rate, just to differentiate it from the hourly rate, because you're not going to charge your client front-facing your base rate. It's just going to be an internal number to know, am I profitable or am I wasting money? Okay. And you need to be on average earning your base rate for every hour that you work. Okay. So, Bailey says, question, ways to correct, fix, or explain taking longer than you thought it would take, like saying you will have something done in a week, but not quite ready then. Cool. We'll mark that as a question. Leah says, as a consultant, I charge hours. However, as a service provider, I do not. So yeah, in certain cases, it makes total sense. Other cases, it doesn't. But Alea would very likely attest to this as well, is probably 80% of the time you shouldn't be charging hourly, but 100% of the time freelancers opt for it. Okay. Again, I just made those numbers up, but I'm just assuming that's the case. All right. So how do we figure out what your base rate is then? Well, what we're going to do now, I hesitate to tell you to open up the pricing calculator. I don't want you to lose the tab. So what I'm going to do is just watch my screen. I'll show you how it works, but you have access to this pricing calculator. It's all yours. And then you're going to figure out your base rate. Everyone's number is different. Okay. So I'm going to open that up here. But first of all, Kevin says, I moved to a retainer, 100% retainer 3 years ago. No regrets. I just wanted to make sure I'm getting the full amount I should. Yep. Cool. We'll talk about retainers too. All right. So switching my screen here to the calculator. That's not a pricing calculator. Here's the pricing calculator. Okay. Everybody has access to this. It's in the resources section of the workshop, and we'll link it up. You all have access to it. 100% guaranteed. If you can't find it after the workshop, send us a message, send us an email, and we'll give you the link. It's in the workshop course that you all have access to now. The first tab is the hourly rate calculator, where you find out your base rate. So I'm going to rip through some numbers really quickly here so you can see how it works. And I have all the formulas plugged in. The green cells are where you enter your data. The blue cells, don't edit them. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but it will mess with the formula, okay? And I'm always updating this. Whenever I find a new idea or I want to tweak something, I'm always updating this because I use it myself. So let's find out a hypothetical base rate. So find out what your annual income requirements are. How much do you want to pay yourself per year? Let's say you want to pay yourself $75,000. So there it is. How much do you want to save annually for retirement and investment savings? Let's say you want to save like 10% of that. So you have 7,500. Again, you do your own numbers here. And miscellaneous savings and investments, let's say you like invest $2,500. So you're looking at annual income requirements of $85,000. We're not done there. If you stop there, big problems are about to happen. Now you need to know your annual cost of business, whether you're incorporated, LLC, or sole proprietor. You need to know what your cost of business is annually. So business cost essentials. So office, rent, co-working space. Let's say you are renting a co-working space and it costs you $1,000 a month. And that's your license, your fee to access the boardroom and the computer and the internet and the coffee and all the kit and caboodle. Let's say your internet is free because it's at the co-working space. Mobile phone data per year. Oh, so this is annual. $1,000? Definitely not $1,000. I thought monthly. Remember, annually. So annually, that's more like $12,000. That's a high number. I know you can get like $200 a month, but let's say you want a full space. You want clients to come in, blah, blah, blah. Mobile phone and data, $1,500 if you're going like $120 a month or something like that. Your accountant, I'm just kind of going off of if you're more established and your accountant charges you about $2,000 a year for their services. Okay. The way you, quick note, Alea says, please make a copy of the pricing calculator. If you want access to the pricing calculator, all you got to do is click on File, Make a Copy, and it will make a copy of this pricing calculator. I see everybody here watching. Awesome. File, Make a Copy. That's how it works. But you can also just watch along as well, okay? In real time. Legal fees, your accountant, your lawyer, I'm going to leave that number. VAs, team, staff, or employees. Let's say you pay somebody $1,000 a month ongoing, and maybe you have a couple other people. So you're looking at, let's say $12,000 per year, okay? Business marketing, promotion, advertising. Let's say you spend $500 a month on that consistently. Then you got $6,000 a year. Business insurance, that's like liability, disability, life insurance, any of that sort of stuff. So whatever your number is for that, your business insurance, put that in there. I'm just going to put 3,000. Flex contingencies. So these are like unpaid invoices, unforeseen costs, repairs, issues that come up, stuff that you just don't know is going to happen. Okay. Guesswork here. So then here we got our annual cost of business. If I did my math correctly, is all of your expenses plus your income requirements. That's how much your business needs to make for these numbers to be taken care of. Actually, we're not done. We've got business software. I'm going to leave these numbers so I don't just like rewrite the same thing. Web hosting, accounting, invoicing, project management, subscriptions, email marketing, productivity, miscellaneous software. Put those numbers in. Annually, how much is it going to cost you? Business hardware. Replacing a computer every 3 years, on average $1,000 a month for a $3,000 computer every 3 years, something like that. Office supplies. This is where, depending on where you are geographically, this is going to really vary widely. So your approximate tax rate and your health insurance per year. Americans are going to pay different than Canadians, who are going to pay different from someone in Eastern Europe and Western Europe and all over the place. So this is your number. This is your required annual business revenue right there. Very different from you going, ooh, I'd like to make $75,000 a year. Well, in order for that to happen, we're looking at, 120 to 160, depending on what your numbers are. Okay. Now, annual working hours. This is where we start getting into some interesting things. Available working hours a year. Don't edit that. You can change it if you want, but I am leaving that number as the widely accepted work hours per year. Just Google how many work hours are there in a year. It's that number. Okay. How many weeks of vacation do you want to take? This is your lifestyle. Let's say you want to take 5 weeks of vacation. Holidays, put in your own stat holidays and countries holidays and regional holidays and any ones that you want to take, throw them in there. Christmas, New Year's, all these things. Sick days. Let's say you want to give yourself a week. Maybe in the age of coronavirus, you actually want to give yourself like a lot bigger of a contingency. So let's say like you're just like hedging your bets here and you're saying 20 days. Okay. Miscellaneous days off, 10. So your total hours off a year is 600. % spend on non-billable work. You can change this. This is where Chronos is going to help you understand where you are, where you're spending, where you're billing hours and how much you're actually billing and how much you're just not billing. So you can guess this number. 15% is a decent benchmark, but that number might be much higher for you or much lower. So non-billable work hours, this is how many hours you're not actually billing anything. And these are the actual billable hours a year, different from this. Okay. Now this is your base rate. I give you 3 options just to give you some padding and room to play. Break-even rate is 130. You need to at least be not charging $130 an hour, though you can. If you're charging hourly, there's your hourly rate, minimum. It's how much you need to be making on average every hour that you work that is spent on billable hours. Recommended rate 140, high profit rate 155. You want to give yourself more padding. Okay. Non-billable work, Payal asks, what is non-billable work? That is what you're not billing. So you start a day, let's say you have 8-hour workday. Are you literally billing clients 8 hours a day? No, absolutely not. So the hours that you work, what are you doing? Admin, emails, checking, social media, replying to clients, checking project management, doing your taxes, accounting, miscellaneous phone calls, distractions, lunch hours, breaks. You've just ate into a quarter of your workday, 15 to 25% of your workday where you're not billing anything. You're billing maybe 2 to 6 hours a day. Okay. That's what non-billable is, non-billables. So there is your range. Let's say $140 base rate per hour is what you need to be making in order to hit this, in order to pay yourself this, in order to have this lifestyle. Let's say you want to take no vacations and you want 0 holidays and you spend 5% on non-billable work. Well, look, your hourly rate, the base rate dramatically changed. What if you're like doing this part-time and you only want 40 grand? Well, look, the number just changed. What if you're like, nope, I need $350,000 a year personal income? Well, your rate just changed. Okay. So that is The pricing calculator. Seb Dizzle says, does the calculator take into account tax deductions or business expenses? Not necessarily. I kind of give it in this kind of wide catch-all approximate tax rate and health insurance expenses. Now, that said, I'd be more than happy to like incorporate some math and formulas to take that into consideration, but I know that's going to be a little more complicated because everybody's taxes are different. But keep that in mind. It's not a perfect science, but it is a really, really close benchmark. That's why I give you the range. Okay. So that is your base rate from the pricing calculator. All right, moving on. Let's go back to here. Okay. And of course, any questions, put them in there. Alea will track them. Okay. Where are we at for time? We're about an hour here. So, okay. Let's keep going. All right, fixed rates. What's good and what's bad? Feel free to share your experience as well. Fixed rates, what's good? It's very common as well. Not as common as hourly, but it's like the next closest popularity in models of pricing. You and your client, what's good? You and your client are rewarded for efficiency. Your client knows what they're paying and you know what you're earning. Therefore, you have a higher earning potential. Because if you're efficient, if you say it's $1,000 to deliver this outcome, the client goes, all right, this is where you start. This is where it's good. Because if the client knows the outcome and you promise the outcome and you say, this is the price for that outcome, they go, cool, I like it. I want that outcome and I'm okay with the price. I value the outcome greater than the price. Perfect. If you complete it in 8 hours or 10 minutes, it doesn't matter. The client gets the outcome and they know the price. Ideally, you get it done in the time that you said as well, but it's not based on hours. You're not going to say 2 hours, this price, this outcome. No, now you're being weird. This outcome, this price, expect it in the next work week. Cool. Could be 2 minutes, could be 20 hours. The faster and more efficient you are, the client gets it earlier. You get what you said you wanted for it. Happy, clappy. Okay. Ooh, Jess is throwing scope creep at me for fixed pricing. We'll get into it. So what's bad? Scope creep, as you just saw, Jess says worst. Scope creep is worst. If anyone doesn't know what scope creep is, it's when the client creeps outside of the scope of the project that you said you'd deliver. So if you said, I'm going to build you this project with parameters A, B, and C, but then the client goes like, ooh, while you're at it, can you just throw ED, E, F, and G and X, Y, and Z just while you're at it. If you got a little extra time, just toss it in there. Ooh, a board member sent a new document. We want a new page on the site. Can you just throw it on real quick? Shouldn't take you any time. That's scope creep. And it's a total nightmare. And I'd rather do any number of unappealing things than to deal with scope creep. So it sucks. And also, what if you undercharge? This is another thing. If you're not confident with your price, you don't know your base rate, you don't know what to charge, then you're going to get scope creep. And you're probably going to say like $1,000 or $5,000, whatever it is. And you're now working like a dog because the client, you didn't define scope and the client is milking you for all that, what that budget is worth. And you're no longer profitable. And you're still tied in fixed rate. It's like, don't be confused here. Fixed rates are still tied to your hours. You're just not showing the client the line items to pick apart. You're just giving them the end price and hoping that you can finish it in that amount of hours or less. Okay. So that's fixed rates. Seb Dizzle says that's why signing scope agreements is important. Payal says, yes, it's a nightmare. Scope creep. Yes. Fixed is potentially the worst. I basically, for the most part, only work on fixed rates. More specifically, I'll show you. One of my favorite ways is fixed rates. I've been doing fixed rates for a long time, but I also know what my fixed rate should be. I'll show you how you can find yours out. Okay. Jess says, I want to rage when clients preface things by saying it shouldn't take you too long. Yeah, because I'm proficient at this and because I've been doing it for years. Exactly. It shouldn't take me long, but that's not the point. If you go to like a massage therapist and you say like, all right, I need my back, my shoulders, and my wrist is cramping. Okay. Oh, while you're at it, can you do my feet? Oh, while you're at it, can you do my low back? Oh, I know the hour is just about done, but like, it shouldn't take you too long. Just like, can you just like get right here? Okay, a little to the left. Okay, a little to the right. Like, it's just like, come on. No, that's not what this is. Okay. All right. So let's find out how we can nail down this fixed rate in a better way. So we're going to go over to my pricing calculator again. Feel free to go over to it if you want. Or just watch my screen, whatever works for you. Just don't lose the tab. I don't want to lose you guys. I want to keep you here. Okay. So second tab in the pricing calculator is the fixed rate. So the base rate has all been calculated for you. Okay. So if I'm going to go back to my hourly rate, let's do a number that's more around what probably everybody here can relate to, something more along the lines of if your business made $165,000 a year, that would be pretty dang good. Okay. Break even, recommended, high profit. These are just there to show you what the base rate is. And the base rate is what calculates everything else, specifically with the fixed rate. So again, like I said, fixed rate is still based on your estimated time. So this is like the maximum amount of time that you think the project is going to take. So if a client comes to you, literally open up your, like this pricing calculator I gave to you. And if you're doing fixed rate, put in all your numbers, come to the fixed rate calculator and go, okay, I think that this project is going to take me 10 hours based on this, that, and the other thing. Now with Chronos, and I'll show you a little bit later of how this works, you will find out exactly how long certain things take. So you're not guessing. It's no longer an estimate. It's an exact science. You know exactly how long a WordPress project, a sales page writing is, or email sequence is, or an ad budget or an ad campaign, whatever it is that you offer, you'll know exactly what that project is because Chronos can help you with that. Now, you put in what you think it's going to take. Maximum. Recommended rule here, take what you think it's going to take. So that's like most freelancers, especially if you're new, take what you think you're going to take in times of hours. Let's say it's 10 hours, double it. Okay. So if I think it's going to take 10 hours, actually put 20. Now, if you want to be a little more like gentle with that, okay, maybe 50% more. So let's say 15. Because you're going to get contingency, you're going to get issues, you're going to get things, you're going to get scope creep, you're going to get the better and better you are at pricing strategy, the more exact that you'll be at this, but the better you are at pricing strategy, the less you charge fixed and the more you do different methods. Okay. So estimated time to complete the project. If it takes you 1 hour, it doesn't matter. This is just an internal number for you to know what you need to be asking of the client. Typical factors that affect pricing. You're going to rank these from 0 to 10 for the most part. Okay. So take the project that you are thinking about, and what you do is you say, okay, typical price of the typical product or service. So what do other people charge for this on average? Is it high or is it low? So 0 to 10, 0 means like it's a really cheap type of service or it's a really premium type of service. Let's say it's like, it's not really that high value. It's pretty run of the mill. Like you're not providing anything like outrageously awesome. So 4. Size of the client. Are they like mom and pop shop? Or are they like an agency that does like $10 million a year? Okay. Size of the client does matter because you'll get laughed out of the room when you quote underquote for an agency that expects a certain amount of prestige and expertise and value. Okay. So, and you'll get laughed out of the mom and pop shop when you ask agency prices for a small project. Okay. Let's say it's like a small client. Your level of expertise and experience. 0 to 10. How great are you? And how experienced are you? Let's say, you know what? I am pretty experienced. 7. The level of pain and urgency for the client. Do they need it now? Do they need it yesterday? And it's really urgent, it gets done? That's a 10. Or is it like, it's a nice to have? Let's say it is pretty urgent. So let's go with 8. Benefit to consultant. This is going to be a reverse. So 1 would be the highest benefit to you. 10 would be the lowest benefit to you. Why do I take this into consideration? Because if it's a client that is going to lead to like a waterfall of referrals, that's really beneficial to you. If it's maybe a one-off client and you're not even going to show it in your experience or get a testimonial and you're really just doing it for the cash, that is a 10. Okay. You want to pad those invoices more than the ones that you're going to get extra value from outside of money. Okay. So let's say it's like really low benefit, but we'll go with 8. And was it a referral? 0. This is binary, 0 or 5, not a ranking. 0 is no, 5 is yes. If it was a referral, they don't know your prices and you don't know them. So give a little bit extra padding in your invoices, your price, just in case they're a big problem. Also, it allows you just to incrementally get a little bit more from new clients and find where that magic number is. So let's say it was not a referral. So your markup is around 30% based on this times your base rate. Now we need project-specific expenses. What project-specific expenses do you have? Staff, team, virtual assistant. Let's say to complete the project, you're going to need to give somebody, it's like you got a VA and they charge you $250 to just do something, pretty nominal. Software licenses, materials. Let's say you have a $99 a month Basecamp subscription and you're not traveling anywhere. Okay. Total project expenses, pretty low. Here is the fixed fee suggestions for your project. When paid in full, PIF, $2,500 upfront. 50% retainer, 50% upfront, 50% 30 days later, $1,375 per month. So one payment of this, one payment of this. It's a little bit marked up because what if they don't pay? What if they take too long to pay? And that's not a lot of money up front. Okay. And if they need to split it up into 6 months for some reason, $500 a month for 6 months, and that is marked up. Okay. Some fixed fee suggestions, not an exact science, suggestions that are pretty dang close to a bullseye. Okay. That is how you do fixed rates with the pricing calculator. Okay. Now, Jess says too funny because when I messaged when I was a massage therapist and you have no clue people who would ask for 2 to 5 more minutes at the end. Could I just 5 more minutes? Just 2 more minutes. That's so funny. Okay. Let's go back here. Next, we've got weekly rates. This might be new to some people. This is actually kind of a different model that's like, what? Probably not very well known. Let me know if anyone here uses weekly rates, have used weekly rates, or have any knowledge or experience with weekly rates. What's good and what's bad? What's good? Income consistency. Your efficiency is encouraged because you want to get the work done within the week. Okay. Now, what is a weekly rate? First of all, I don't want to assume you know what it is. A weekly rate is where you are only hireable for the week. So you got to book off a week of time. So, or maybe it's a project and you realize, this is going to be a project that might take about 6 to 8 weeks. So you can say, I can take care of the project. Here's the outcome. And my rate is this much per week. I estimate it's going to take 8 weeks. If we are efficient and the client can get their homework done and we can tighten certain things up, then I think we can probably get this around 6 weeks. If things are slow, the client dilly-dallies and the client doesn't pull up their socks and focus on getting it done with you, then it might be 10 weeks. Okay. So the client knows what they're going to pay. They know they're going to pay this much per week, and they want to get that project done in less amount of time. So in a little bit of a way, what's bad about this is that they're thinking about the project being done sooner and how much it's going to cost them. But that sometimes can work in your benefit by having the client not pussyfoot around for months. Okay. So what you can say is this as well. You can put a safeguard in place. It's going to be, my rate is this much a week. How long it takes is dependent on you up to this point. It's going to be at least 4 weeks to get this done, guaranteed. What will make it longer is back and forth, not meeting on Mondays and kicking off the week, lack of participation and communication, and then or just not communicating at all. If there is a delay of more than 1 week and I don't hear from you in a full week, then the project is terminated and you pay for the week that nothing was done, and you need to book time again in the future because these weeks need to go to somebody else. Okay. It's a totally different pricing model. You can pre-book clients ahead. So weeks ahead, and you can say weeks 1 through 6 in quarter 3 are totally booked. But if you would like to get a spot on the calendar, then we can block off the following 4 weeks after that for this specific project. Or we can block off 8 weeks. And if it gets done sooner, then that's okay. Then I'll have a little bit of padding, and I can, you can get clients in the pipeline pre-booking. Okay. True scarcity, because there's only so many weeks that you can sell. So it encourages sales and somebody to book a spot. Oh yeah, I don't want to wait until like next January, but okay, if I can get in for November, then let's make it happen. Okay. Outcome oriented. By the week's end, you'll have XYZ. Okay. And there's a huge earning potential. Okay. So let's see here. Jess says, ooh, I love putting some of the onus on the client to get back to you because they would save money. Yeah. So it's highly incentivized for the client to be present and get it done. And it's good for you. Like if you said it's going to take 4 weeks and it ends up taking 3 weeks, then that's fine. You still got your week. You still got 3 weeks of week pay. And then you can see, oh, I'm going to end this a week early. I got a new spot. Maybe there's a client who needs a week and I could do a quick flash promo for my list of clients who might need a week to get something done. My week is open. Or hey, boom, vacation. Okay, so like lots of cool ways you can do this. What's bad? Requires airtight systems and management. Like you can't do this flying by the seat of your pants. You need to know your weeks. You need to know your availability. You need to have an automated calendar. You need to have a way for them to pre-book. You need a way to collect income automatically. And you need to know, like cross your T's and dot your I's. Like that needs to be in place. If you're just like fly by the seat of your pants freelancer, you will fail dramatically with weekly rates unless you know that these other things are required. You're still selling time, just in larger blocks. Also potential sticker shock. The client might think you're going to come back with like a fixed rate or an hourly rate, and you're like, it's going to be $2,500 a week. And you're like, what? What's that? But when you're selling time and hours and you're selling numbers, not outcomes, then your client will have sticker shock. So you need confidence in selling an outcome. Okay. Does that make sense? All right. So let's go into how do you figure out your weekly rate? So let's say you want to charge weekly rate for a client. Here's how you make it happen. Go to the third tab, weekly rate. All you got to do, these numbers are still the same. Factors that affect the price, ranking. So let's say similar products and services are usually very expensive. The client is big. You're like top notch in your field. You're an expert practitioner, and the pain and urgency, let's say it's not actually very painful. Like they plan things out well and it's like low urgency. Not a big benefit to you. It's just more money, but it'd be a good testimonial and maybe a nice piece on your showcase on your website. And it was not a referral. So here's your markup to give you some padding. And we got our project expenses. Let's leave them the same. It's dependent on you. And you don't have to add this number. This is just a little bonus. If you want to take it another level and make it a value-based week rate, so it's not just a time-based week rate, estimate how much value this will generate for your client within 12 months. Now that might be monetary value. It might be time saved. It might be expenses saved. It might be income added, revenue added, return generated. You might know exactly this number. You might be able to estimate this number. You might be able to sign a non-disclosure with your client and find out how many leads, how much a lead is worth and how many leads you can get them and estimate that over 12 months. If you're not sure, put that as 0. Okay. Project time commitment. How many hours dedicated to the project per week? Is it a full week where you're fully blocked off and you're not taking on any other work? Or are you blocking off a certain amount per week? Let's say that you're actually blocking off 30 hours. It's mostly for that client and 10 hours is for like contingency and other stuff. So here's your weekly rate. Minimum 4,000, 4,500 recommended, 4,750 high profit. So let's go with 4,000 break even rate. So if you're full-time, experienced, and you're looking at, and think about this, if you're dedicating about 30 hours ish in the week, it's a lot of time. You're not doing other things. You might think, whoa, that's a really big number, Brad. but the client might get the project done in the first week or week 2. Building a custom e-commerce shop or like a custom Shopify store or something like that. If you think it's going to take you like, I don't know, 3 weeks of time, well, how much is it actually going to take you in man hours, in time, in billable hours, internally? Give yourself some padding to think about how long it actually will take. Can you get it done in 1 week? Can you get it done in 2 weeks? If it's 2 weeks, then it's $8,000. That's like pretty on par, right? Let's say it's going to generate them at least $10,000 in the year. Well, then yeah, your week rate goes up because it's more value based. Okay. Shannon says this weekly rate method appeals to my super structured mindset. Awesome. Meralda says, is it recommended to break the project in phases, one to be completed per week or not, so the customer doesn't feel the itch to end it early? Yes, you can also do it in weeks, and you can say in segments of, depending on the project, you say discovery phase is this, design is this, development is this, testing is this, launch and post-launch marketing is this, and you can break those up into weeks and say the weekly rate is this. Now you can say, we can tighten this up. The way we can tighten this up is by reducing back and forth. Show up on the Monday meeting and get team members doing the homework that I assigned to them so that we can maybe save you a week. Otherwise, this is how it works. But it's not about the money. It's about the outcome. Okay. And in order to get the outcome, this is what they have to pay. Okay. Just as my eyes went so wide when you said $4,000, I am into this. Think about this. Then you get to work with one client with 10 hours of contingency, maybe for a retainer or for admin or for project management, non-billable work, not related to the project. But your client booked your week, and it might take you 2 weeks to finish a project, maybe 1 week. How happy would your client be if you said it's going to take 3 weeks? So expect to pay $8,000 to $12,000. But here's the outcome, which we've discussed is at least $50,000 in the next 12 months for you. So I'd like to hit that for you. So this is like a pretty straightforward investment for you. Now, what if you got back to them and said, you know what? We're going to finish a week early. This is good. It's only going to be $8,000 for you. You just build them weekly on the Friday or on the Monday, and they pay it with their card, or however you want to arrange the payment method. Okay. 1972, Tiggy says, what if they ask how many hours it actually took? You say it's not about hours. It's about the outcome. And if you just said it's about the outcome, man, not the hours, you'd probably sound super lame and not confident and defensive. You could say more hours than I'm happy to count. It's myself, it's my team, and it's the 10 years experience prior to this that has allowed me to deliver this sort of level of investment for you. So I'd rather not. A lot of hours, years, right? What was that Picasso said? I don't know if this is like a myth, an urban myth or urban legend, but it's cool nonetheless. Pablo Picasso was in a coffee shop. Somebody sees him and goes, Pablo Picasso, draw me a picture on this napkin. And he draws a picture and he gives it to them. And he says, that'll be $10,000. I mean, I don't know what he said actually, if he did it at all, but he's $10,000. And they go, what? It took you 1 minute. Like, no, it took me 40 years. Right? Get the point? Get the point? All right, let's go back. Where are we at for time? 1:20. Cool. All right. Any questions about that? Throw them at me. Day rates. I like day rates. Okay. It's like a neat and tidy, crunchy version of the weekly rate. Okay. Weekly rates are for those big projects, those big campaigns, those big custom projects, if you're writing a book for somebody, ghostwriting a book, if you're doing a full campaign for somebody, if you are building a full project or an app or something like that, weekly rates work beautifully. Day rates are those crunchy little, I don't want to do big projects, but I want to get paid for the day and be done with it. Wipe my hands clean. I like day rates. I do day rates all the time. In fact, probably a couple of you in here, if I go through the list, are actually clients of mine who've booked me for a day. What's good? What's bad? So what's good? Highly productized, very easy to sell because it's outcome based. So you get my day. By the end of the day, this is what you'll have. And your client goes, whoa, I can see that. That would take me 2 months. I would never get that done. Like I couldn't do that. You're like, yeah, I can do it with my eyes closed. By the end of the day, you'll have this plus some. And if I have extra time, throw me your laundry list and I'll take care of it for you. They paid for your day. Get it done. I've done day rates where I've got the thing done at lunch. And I said, well, they paid for their day. I'm not going to waste it. And I said, throw your list at me. What else you got? And I redesigned a campaign. I rewrote something for them and I tweaked a couple things and improved something else. And went, Bob's your uncle. Thank you very much. Book another day. Here's my form to book another day. If you loved it so much, it's addicting. They love it. Okay. It's an attractive alternative to retainers. So retainers, a lot of the time it's just a laundry list where you say 2 hours a month at a discounted hourly rate, and you get priority support and you can call me anytime. And basically, you can just throw your laundry list at me intermittently throughout the month. Blah, lame. Just do a day rate and say, book a day. Give me your entire list and some, and I'll get it all done. Collect 100% of the payment prior to the day. So they book the day next Tuesday, or if you're booked for 3 weeks in advance, they can book the following week. And if they wait, they miss out. They got to book even further in advance. So there's scarcity and they go, I want that. And you get 100% of the payment. There's no tickety booing around negotiating or any of that nonsense. Outcome oriented. By the end of the day, you get this. What's bad about this? Before that, W.R. Strowland says, unfortunately, got to go. I'll be rewatching this to get the rest of the content. Thank you for making this available. I really appreciate it. Eye opener for sure. Awesome. Glad to have you here. Thank you. So what's bad about day rates? Really, really automated systems, highly automated systems, booking processes, and management. You can't do this stuff by the seat of your pants. You got to really dial in your systems. Automated. It needs to be booking forms, scheduling forms, intake forms, project management are set up automatically. Client homework is set up automatically. Due dates are added automatically. Client calls are booked automatically. Everything is automatic so that you just show up for the day. That's a lot of work. No room for error or inefficiency. You got 1 day to do what you said you'd do. Pressure's on. You're still selling time, just in larger blocks, or in a day block rather. And it's not a good model for every freelancer. Not every freelancer can do it this way. Okay. So here's how you do your day rate. Let's go into the calculator again, switching my screen. And the next tab is the daily rate. Very, very, very simple. Look at this. Here's just the recommended hourly rate, your base rate. How many hours in your work day that you're going to actually commit to the daily rate? 7 hours, give yourself time for lunch, and then additional hours for contingency, client calls, back and forth, support. If you give your client extra support after the day and it's going to take a couple more hours, you got to take that into account. Okay. So let's say 7 hours for the day and you actually do 5 hours for additional contingency. There's your day rate. And watch this. What if I go back and I go, you know what? My lifestyle has changed and I need 8 weeks of vacation, 10 days of holidays, 20 sick days, and my personal salary. You know what? My wife or my partner or husband lost their job and now I need to be the breadwinner and make 120K. Where are we at? Let's go to the daily rate. There's your daily rate. It changed. Okay. So let's see. Doug says, what if you bump into items that need research that are not in your expertise area? That's where your pre-homework. So you need to be very clear about what you're offering. So if it's just selling blocks, a block of time to do a laundry list and you go, ooh, I can't get those things done. There's 2 ways around that. Your intake form. So when someone books, I've canceled at least one that I can think of, 1 day rate because somebody booked my day for something totally bizarre. And it was outside of the scope of what I said I would offer. So what I offer in day rates is very productized. There's 4 things that I'll do. And within the parameters of that, I can do other things, but I'm not going to be your buddy for 8 hours and watch you code and give you tips. It's just not really, I don't really care to do that. And I'm not going to research something for you, or I'm not going to, write a book for you. There's things that I will do. It's highly productized. So you need to present what you're offering, productized, the scope. It's productized. So it's like, this is what I'll do. This is what I'll not do. Don't book if this is you. Do book if this is you. And you do a call with them. Like they fill out the questionnaire and you can see right away, nope, that's not it. That's not what this is for. Cancel it. Give them their money back. Jump on a quick call. If you say on your page, like, if you're not sure if I can help you, book a 5-10 minute call right here and I'll let you know if I can help you. Okay. So that's how I would answer that, Doug. Payal, what's the difference between fixed and value-based rate? We're going to be getting into that actually next. So come back to the replay, Payal, to learn what I mean by the difference between fixed and value. All right. So there it is. There's your day rate. And let's say, 4 hours of follow-up, that changes the day rate. So there you go. Minimum 2,000, recommended 250, maximum 3,000. Just more of if you're like you want to ease your way into it, or if you're like getting a lot of demand and you want to throttle the demand down but make a little bit more or the same, there's your recommended rate. Or if you don't really have a lot of time and you can only take a couple of the clients on and you don't want too much demand, but you want to really do well with the clients you have, well, there you go. Now let's go back. And I want to keep an eye on the time. I want to be respectful of your time. Now we got value-based rates. Okay. What's good? What's bad? Feel free to chime in, folks, on value-based rates. If you know what they are, if you know what's good or what's bad, if you have any questions, throw them in there and we'll try our best to get to as many questions as possible after this. Okay. So value-based rates, what's good? Highest earning potential, like through the roof. There's probably no limit to your earning potential. Okay. Guarantees results for the client because it's value-based. It's based on the value the client gets. So you're guaranteeing some sort of result and or outcome for the client. You're selling your expertise and the outcome, and it encourages solutions to problems. If you said you're going to solve this problem for the client, you're no longer looking at your time tracker or your hours. You're looking at, how can I solve this problem? Let's say, for example, you charged a value-based rate of $25,000 because you know that it's at least worth that for the client. Absolutely. For X, Y, or Z reasons. Let's say you said you're going to be able to have this outcome by the end of the project, and you come across a roadblock where you go, I don't know how to solve this particular problem. And then you go looking for solutions and you find that there's a tool and it costs you $500. You will pay $500 out of pocket to solve the problem because it's not about your hours. It's not about your expenses. It's completely agnostic to those, detached to your hours and your expenses, and entirely assigned to the value of the outcome of the project. So you'll pay out of pocket for a solution that's going to get you to the outcome that you promised your client. And you don't need to bill them for it because you have a generous price tag that accommodates all of it. Why is this also really good? Is that it takes all the risk, or most of the risk, off of the client and puts it on you to do what you said you'd do. So be careful. And you get paid upfront most of the time. You might do 50-50 if it's a really large chunk, but if you are working with a client that has the budget to pay $20,000, they can wire that to you. Okay. What's bad? This model will not apply to certain work. For example, Shannon says, as a beginner, this is the one that scares me the most. It seems really intangible. I feel like I need more experience to even know what my value is. I'll help you find what that is. And remember, it's not what your value is. It's what the client's value is. So it's completely different thinking. But it won't apply to certain work. Difficult to accurately measure results. Can you really guarantee an outcome? And sticker shock. Okay, so an extra slide on this one. Here are some ideas for charging based on value. So you need to ask, what is measurable? Can you generate more leads, phone calls, or sales for your client? How much are those leads worth? Every lead has a dollar value to it. Any good marketer knows what the lead cost per lead, cost per customer. And the value per lead, value per customer. If it costs $5 to acquire a customer, if it costs $5 to acquire a lead, and on the back end, that lead turns into a customer, and on average, that lead is actually worth $8, $12, $15, that's profitable, and we can ratchet this up. Okay. So any good marketer good company or director of marketing in an agency or company should know these numbers on average. What about phone calls? How valuable is a phone call? How many phone calls do you close on average? Sales department, how many phone calls do you close on average? What's the percentage? What's your close rate? They go 20%. So how many calls a day do you get? Yeah, 50. Like, what if I got you 50 more per day? What does that mean for you? How much is that worth? How much is a phone call worth for you? This much. If I got you 50 more calls a day by the end of quarter 4, what's that worth to you? Okay, now we're talking. Can you save your client a certain number of hours? It's not just about money or income. Time. Can you save your client a certain number of hours of frustration per month? So for example, I recently got a day rate client because they spent like 4 months setting up a Squarespace website and their SEO is terrible and it's not working for them. I go, how much is your hourly rate? How much do you charge for your services? This much. How many months did you say you worked on this? This many months. How long per day? This many hours a day. So quick math, you spent about, let's say, I'm just saying 40 hours and your hourly rate is what? 200? Congratulations, you just spent $8,000 on an underqualified web designer. You can give me $1,500 for the day rate and I'll take care of that for you in one day. Easy ask. Value-based rate, congratulations, you spent $8,000 on an unqualified web designer who took way too long to get something poor done. In more or less words, don't offend your client, obviously, or insult them. You'd say, yeah, here's how it really works. And our fee is $10,000. You can see why certain things cost that. And we have a team that's going to take care of this for you. And it's going to be 3 weeks. Make sense? Can your work increase an entire department's productivity and output? So can you make an entire marketing team more productive with your coaching? Can you make a sales team or a management team way more productive with your executive level coaching? That's valuable. There's value associated with that. The company is paying this department this much money per year and they're not effective or efficient or productive. You increase productivity by 50%. That's very valuable. Can your product eliminate a major business expense? Let's say you're spending like $1,000 a month on expense on software, and your tool can take care of it for half the cost. Well, you save them $500 a month. You win, they win. Okay? That's how you think about value. So what is valuable? In summary, time. Can you free up a schedule for your client? Can you give them their time back, reduce workload? Money. Can you make or save more money for your client? Security is another one. Can you provide your client with peace of mind? This thing that you invested in, I'll take care of it. I'll manage it for you. Whether it's your website, your writing, your advertising, your marketing strategy. Maybe you have any other thoughts or ideas. Feel free to share in the comments what you might think is valuable. What is valuable to your client? Does this make sense? Does this value-based rate make sense? Okay, let me know in the comments. And while we're doing that, we're going to pull up the calculator again and check out the value-based rate. Value-based rate goes off of a few things. Most importantly, the value for your client. Now, there's 2 ways you can do this. The way I've built it into the calculator is a hybrid of fixed rate, so time and expenses, plus value. I went a little bit in the calculations. Feel free, if any of you know, when you copy this out, you can make a copy and check out my formulas. See how I do it. Here's my formulas up here. This is how I estimate these numbers. There's a lot of, math that goes into this. I'm not going to say it's crazy, amazing math, but it's math. So I'm finding out, how much value and ROI you get for the client. And then I am incorporating that into the formula. Now, if it was a true hardcore value-based rate, it has nothing to do with my time, nothing to do with my expenses, and everything to do with the value. That said, you can still charge a value-based project, spend too much time on it, and have it be not profitable. That's why I have this in place. So let's say you think it's going to take give yourself a generous estimate. 40 hours to complete something. Could take 30, could take 10. 40 hours, keep that in mind. That they're paying the same price no matter how much you work on it, so long as you give them the outcome. Okay, typical price of product or service. If you want to be more conservative with this or a little bit more aggressive with this, it's up to you. So let's say it is generally a high ticket offering. The size of the client is, pretty small. Your expertise, you're confident. The urgency for this client, let's say you're like a 7 because it's valuable. They want that. Let's say it's pretty urgent. And let's say it is high benefit to you, like so beneficial that like you're not even on the charge. So you're just 0. And was it a referral? Let's say no. So your markup based on your time and expenses is, modest, giving you some wiggle room, for saving you from yourself is what that percentage is. Staff, team, virtual assistant, it's going to cost, how much is it going to cost you to deliver this? Let's say that you have a project manager taking care of it for you and their fee is $2,500. And let's say software and licenses, it's $500. And travel, food, and expenses, you flew to go meet them, $400. There's your project expenses, your time. Let's say the estimated monetary value for the client. Well, if it was 0, then they're just paying time and expenses, which sucks. It's not the point of value-based rates. If you think that you can give them something that's $50,000 in value, then your value-based rate changes. $20,000 in monetary value returned to the client. Well, here are some ranges for you to play with. Now, value-based rates are hard to calculate, and it's hard, therefore, to have this be an exact number. And so obviously, like I said, it's not an exact science for how you should price your products and services. It's a guideline to determine the rates that you could and maybe should charge, or at least have an idea of. So this would be how you'd figure out your value-based fee, okay? Jess says, value-based rate, I feel like I can't differentiate that from a day, week rates. So to me, they're the same. And they can be. You can have a value-based week rate, okay? Value-based day rate, not so much. Unless, like if you don't publicly market your day rate. So for example, right now at the time of this, like workshop and recording, when it's a replay, my day rate is $1,500. That number is going to go up as more demand starts to flow in and as my schedule books up. It's just what I do. I will land somewhere around $2,000. Now that is just like, it's public information. The client can see it right away and make that decision on the spot before they even book it. I could say, book me for a day and we'll take care of this particular outcome and then offer a value-based day rate. But it doesn't quite work because you're still giving your day away. Week rate could work because it's not so much about the day. The client bought your day in a day rate. With a week, the client's buying an outcome to be done in a certain amount of time. So you can do it like that. Seb Dizzle says, can you make your client's life easier? Yes, exactly. Convenience. With a value-based rate, I feel like one upside is you have wiggle room if the client wants to negotiate. True. Negotiating we can talk about as well in the Q&A. So that's the value-based rate. Now let's go back to the presentation. Okay, retainers. This is the last pricing model, and then we're going to get into Q&A in a moment. So retainers, what's good about retainers? What's bad? Retainers, monthly recurring revenue, guaranteed work. Client knows that they have access to you, long-term client relationships. You can hire an assistant to deliver the work for you, to do the service delivery for you. So you don't even have to do the work. You can have a team member, an assistant, a spouse, a partner, someone who is part of your company. Like you can have someone do that work and you don't have to do it and you get paid for it. It's just extra billable income for your company. It's great. A tip to make retainers better is to not sell your time or your hours. Don't sell bundles of hours. Sell an outcome or result. Every month, this is going to happen. Every month, you're going to get an SEO report. We're going to show you how we're improving your rankings, and you're going to be constantly improving the on and off page SEO for your site so that you rank better for the keywords that we've determined are best for your business. Every single month, we're going to give you a report, show you what's improved, show you why it's improved, and show you what we're going to do the next month. That might take 5 minutes. That might take 2 hours. That might take you 0 hours because you have an SEO expert on your team and they do it. Okay. What's bad? Freelancers usually just sell monthly hours at a discount. Okay. Bad. If you're selling hours, there's less time for bigger projects. That sucks. If you have like 10 retainers for 2 hours a month, that's like what, 20 hours a month that you are doing like low priced work, and you can't focus on big day rates, week rates, value rates, fixed rates, marketing, getting more clients, networking. You're stuck doing like measly hourly work unless you outsource all of it or get a team member to do it. How do you find out your retainers? Surprise, surprise, it's in the pricing calculator. Again, as a benchmark, not as an exact science. So here is how this works, Sean. Retainers aren't just discounted hour allotments. Mind blown. I'm here to provide some big eye-opening aha moments for you guys. So factors that affect price and rank, your price on a sliding scale of 0 to 10. Same model. How valuable is this in terms of, is it expensive generally or is it cheap? Is it valuable or is it a commodity? What do other people charge? High or low? Meaning, what does your client expect? Let's say pretty low. Size of the client, they're okay. 8. Consultant's level of expertise and experience, you're a like boss. Client's level of pain and urgency, like super low. Really low benefit for you. It's just money. Okay. There's your markup. Team expenses to deliver on the retainer. Let's say it costs you $200 a month, and you have $100 a month for like Basecamp or something else, Trello Pro, whatever. Any expenses, you go to their office every month for a meeting and you bring coffee and donuts and face masks. Hopefully that joke won't be relevant very soon, but for now it's very relevant. Okay. Total monthly project expenses for the retainer. Value and ROI, you can have a value-based retainer as well. How valuable is this for your client? Let's leave it 0 for now. How many hours do you personally dedicate to the retainer per month? Now that's personally, because you could have a team member dedicating 10 hours and you 0. So if it's someone who's taking 10 hours and you pay them $200 a month, that's where that expense comes in. But if you're personally managing the project or delivering on something, account for that each month. Let's say it's 2 hours for you. Okay, so here we go. Month to month. Let's just say they're just booking you monthly. Well, month to month, $800 a month. 3-month contract, $700 a month. Now, looks like I didn't do my math here because it seems like these numbers are the same. It's probably because my rounding, let me change my rounding to 25. I might have done this part wrong. No, I think I got this just right. Updating the calculator as we speak, folks. Feel free to change that formula yourself or just re-download the calculator. In fact, pro tip, just keep coming back to the calculator like, on the Freelancing Freedom website, like every month or so, whenever you want, and just get the latest copy. I update this like probably a few times a year. So there we go. There's your month to month. If they sign 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months. So if they sign on a 12-month contract, you can say $675 a month, or you can literally say like pay upfront $8,100 or $8,000. And then you just have outcomes every single month for a year. See how that works? Jeff says, I've always felt that retainers are just awful because I've had clients, how many hours do I get? And then they focus on the hourly rate. Yes, because they're thinking about hours, not outcomes. Hopefully now everybody knows that you sell outcomes and return and guarantees, not hours. So if a client says like, hey, I have you on retainer, how many hours? Like, oh, no. I'm not selling hours. What I'm promising you is that every single month, this is what you'll get. Okay. You get this, and this. Okay. Guaranteed every single month. If I'm not doing what it is that I said I do, you fire me immediately and I'll give you a month's worth of payments back. Something like that, something bold. So you could say, you can give me $800 a month for 12 months. Signed, that's for sure what you have to pay. Or you can pay it up front and we'll give you a little bit of a deal. So it's $8,000 solid every single month. I guarantee you this is what you'll get back. Outcomes, not hours. Okay. I do only retainers right now and I don't give any discounts. There, take it from somebody who's an expert at retainers. Don't give discounts. You don't have to. So I'm just giving suggestions here. Again, suggestions. You could say, ooh, if this is what I should be doing monthly, then that's what my number is monthly minimum. And you can say, if you want to give your client options, I'm all about giving your client options. Say it's $825 a month, no discounts, because I guarantee you this outcome, this end result, this product every single month without fail. You can pay that, or you can pay it up front for $9,900 and just give them, and if you wanted to give them a slight incentive for paying in full up front, then you could. So there is the pricing calculator in depth, how it works. And let's go back here. Roland says, for me, the biggest takeaway from this is the fact that outcomes and value added are the king of the pricing game. Yep. You got it. You nailed it. Okay. So let's go back here. And what we're going to do is, well, topic 3, we basically covered topic 3 all throughout. So eliminate guesswork with the pricing calculator. It's in the resources section of the workshop. It's in the resources section of like on freelancingfreedom.com. When you log in, it's on your dashboard, and it's in the dashboard under courses, and you'll see it. You'll have a certain, I won't be able to log in right now and show you, but go to freelancingfreedom.com, sign in. This workshop is there available for you. If you're not already on the site right now, the workshop, the replay, the resources, any other recommended links, and the calculator is in there for you. Okay. So that's topic 3 in a nutshell. Now, topic 4 are some hot pricing tips to use immediately. Okay. So quick shotgun approach. Then we're going to do some Q&A. So I'm respectful of your time. Hot tip number 1, don't negotiate on price. If you must negotiate, don't move on the price, just sweeten the deal. For example, I can't change the price. Sorry, I can't do that, John. But what I can do is throw this in. Does that sound fair? Okay. A little bit of like negotiation 101. I'm sorry, I can't change the price. I have expenses I need to pay, and I'm delivering something to you that I think we both agree is valuable. But what it sounds like to me is that you need a little something extra. So here's what I can do. Add something in. Maybe you are an author. Throw in a book. I mean, like whatever it is, like throw in an extra call. You know what? For those Monday Zoom calls, I'll come to the office. How's that sound? Sound fair? Instead of my assistant coming in for the meetings, I'll be there. Sound fair? To give you more confidence. Don't negotiate by going down and meeting in the middle. Add something in. Recommended book, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Okay, hot tip number 2, use price anchoring to establish expectations and reduce sticker shock. For example, you're talking to the client. An agency is going to routinely charge about $25,000 for this. I would know. I used to work at these agencies, and I was the one sending the bills. We're a boutique shop, so we're not going to be commanding those rates, and we're a lot quicker on our toes, so we can afford to charge lower rates. So our fees cap at $15,000. Does that sound fair? Okay. Hot tip number 3, give the client 2 or 3 pricing options in your proposals and sales pages. So this gives the client a feeling of control over how much they pay. Okay. For example, basic package, outcome X, $2,000. Premium package, outcome X and Y, $4,500. VIP package, outcome XYZ, $10,000. The client gets to choose their adventure. The client gets to choose their outcome. And they get to look at your choices and go, I value that outcome more than that price. I'm going to go with that. Okay. Hot tip number 4, ditch free consults. Again, this is a tip, not an exact science. I do free consults, but you can do this alternatively. Ditch free consults and offer fixed fee road mapping sessions instead. So charge for your discovery calls, discovery meetings, and offer that as a productized service. Why? Because it qualifies your customers. So customers who aren't willing to pay your $500, discovery session fee, they're not going to bother because they're probably not the right client anyway. Productized offering with a tangible outcome. Again, outcomes. You're selling a road mapping session or a discovery session, whatever you want to call it, breakthrough meeting. You say by the end of this breakthrough session or road mapping session or call, you're going to have a plan for your marketing. You're going to have wireframes. You're going to have a marketing strategy. You're going to have action steps that you can immediately start using. And why would the client pay for that? Because they can do whatever they want with it. They've got something from you. So there's like a risk reversal where it's risk for you, not them. They've got a tangible productized asset that goes, ooh, I can take this to somebody else. I can do it myself, or I can have the person who developed the master plan do it for me. And that is a big trust building factor. So that's how you could sell a road mapping session or a discovery session, whatever you want to call it, branded however you want, a paid introductory meeting to see if you even want to work with them. Okay? Win-win. No free advice. All right. I think hot tip number 5, price high for quality clientele. Offer white glove, done for you service or a highly valuable outcome or both, and use the profits to create low ticket mass market offerings. So why do you price high? For quality clientele. Less, but quality clientele. When do you price low? For quantity mass market offerings like books or courses or automated softwares or tools, something commoditized and mass market. High price for very select few, low price for most. And you can use your high price profits to create a low priced mass market offering. Okay. Hot tip number 7, offer a productized service to accommodate clients with low budgets. So as you grow, you're going to outgrow clients. You can say goodbye, send them to somebody else. That's fine. Or you can automate something, create a productized service, and then delegate to an assistant or team member to deliver on the service. Could be road mapping sessions. It could be design refreshes. It could be retainers. It could be something very productized and outcome based and outcome oriented that you have nothing to do with, and it's affordable and more mass market, but it's easy to deliver. Doesn't take much time off your back. Okay. If you have any cool pricing tips or questions or any thoughts, throw them in the chat box. Okay. Now, topic 5, as we round off here, I'm going to show you how Chronos works. So we've been waiting to hear a little bit about Chronos. Chronos is sponsoring this workshop. So thank you, Chronos. Everybody here gets access to this workshop for free because of Chronos. They have literally paid your admission. And so I'm excited to, and I wouldn't have done that if I didn't think it was relevant. I think this is a perfect complementary tool to what we're talking about today. These workshops are going to be $50 per admission in the future, unless there's a different sponsor for something, but it's free because of Chronos. So Chronos, why, what is it, and everything like that. I'm going to show you. I have a little video queued up for you to show you how Chronos works, how you can use it, and give you behind the scenes kind of look as to how you can start using it. So let's cue that video up right now while I take a little water break. So as you know, Chronos is sponsoring this workshop. Your admission was free thanks to Chronos. So big shout out to them. Why is Chronos a good idea? Because if you're tracking your time intelligently and not having to worry about it, you're going to end up making more money, charging the proper worth for your services, and also knowing where you're spending time so you can stop doing stupid things and do more profitable things so that you can run a tight ship. And right now, I'm going to show you how to easily track time, expenses, and payments, how to analyze projects and quote accurately with smart estimates, and how to monitor profitably with the profit and loss report. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to quickly create a new project, and we're going to go with the custom WordPress project idea here so you can see how the custom reporting looks. So I'm going to click create a new project. Let's say the due date, it's going to be a few month project. Project type, it is a custom web design project. Now you can add new project types very easily. That's important if you have a new project type because you want to be able to track that stuff and see the profit and loss reporting based on the types of projects. But this one is a custom web design project. Billing type, I work on fixed fee. You can do non-billables. This is depending on the type of project. If it's an internal project, track those as well. Time and materials. So this is when you do hourly and you want to pay for time and materials and have the client reimburse you for certain things. $12,000 project. And any notes, let's say that that's what it is. We're going to save. So now we have it right over here in the dashboard e-commerce WordPress website. Right now, it's just an empty shell of a project. So what we're going to do is add a new entry. Let's say that we had a client call, a kickoff call. So we're going to start, you can start the timer and jump on the call, put the category of whatever categories you have here. In this one, let's just say I'm going to reset the timer and just add time. Let's just say retroactively, I go back and say, we had a project kickoff call, save. And now let's say that we have a new payment. So what do we get paid for? Deposit. Let's say the client dropped me a cool $4,000. So what we're going to do is click on deposit. I want to track my deposits. Save. So now I can see that the client owes $8,000. The payments were made for $4,000. So I'm keeping on track of these things. Expenses logged. Let's say that we have a new expense. You have a project manager and their fee to manage the project is $2,500. Project management subcontractor fee, save. And let's say I also have a WordPress developer and $1,500. Add a new category and say, or just subcontractor fee, developer. And the reason why this is important is I can see the average of how much I spend on a category. So maybe the average WordPress developer is $2,400 over the course of a few projects. Well, why is that important? The next time I quote a client on a project for a similar type of project, let's say a WordPress website around, $8,000 to $10,000, I can see that my subcontractor fees are usually this amount. So now you can see all the settings in here and the history of how you spent your time and your money. So let's add a new time entry and let's say design. And we spent a total of 10 hours on the design. This is the design, save. And now let's say the project is done. We're gonna go a payment. The client still owes us $8,000. Let's say they paid the rest. $8,000 and web design project. So they paid it off. The project is complete. So we have a new time entry. Let's say development. And let's say we spent 30 hours on it and it is web development. Save. Add one more entry actually, just because I know how these work. Let's say debugging. And let's say we did 8 hours in website testing and debugging. Save. All right, now let's call that project done. So now what I'm gonna do is you can go into your smart estimates and see where that data comes in. And this fully connects with your phone. So anytime you make a change, it instantly appears on your phone and vice versa. Right here, custom web design, you could see how many projects it's analyzed, how long the project length is usually. So if you wanna know how long a project may be based on historical data, that's based on when you create the project and when you finish tracking and the due date. Average hours logged, 38 hours for custom web design, and where it breaks down, website testing, design, project kickoff calls, web development. Average expenses logged for these projects, let's say 2,600, because we got the project manager, travel, software, and a subcontractor web developer. So your average expenses are $2,600. That's not cheap to deliver a project at around 60 days. So it's important from that, you can see how long and how much you spend on a certain project so you can estimate quickly on the fly. Or when you're developing and you're in my tool, the pricing calculator, you can see when I say put in how much a project expense would be, if you want to come up with a fixed fee, you have that data now. You can say, all right, my average project manager is $1,850. I'm going to put that in there. I average travel $50 for a project, and my software is average $50, and my average developer cost is $750. Put all those numbers in so you can get a smart estimate in conjunction with the pricing calculator, because Chronos is telling you right now how much time and money you spend on something so that you can actually come up with a really intelligent estimate. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to the phone, boop, and I'm going to click on, well, as you can see here are the projects. So all the stuff is right here. You can swipe through all your projects. You can add new projects, but I'm going to click on reporting tool, and I'm going to click on profit and loss. So you can see here in the last 30 days, you can also change this to quarter and year and the different project types. Let's just do custom web design in the last 30 days. So here we are, custom web design. Payments made to me have been $18,000. My average expenses, or my total expenses, were $5,300 and change. So my profit for custom web design is $12,600. Let's change this to, let's say I done in 1 day intensives. Yeah. So let's say the payments made to me in the last 30 days were $5,200. So $5,250. Profit is very, very high, like 98% profit margins on that. But you could see something like a highly service-based project, like a custom web design, my expenses are higher. And you could look at all of the things that you've done. So if I'm just filtering by nothing, and you do the full year, let's say you have a full year of reporting, you can see where you've made your money in your business, how much money you've spent, and profit and loss over the last year based on all of the things that you have done. Accounts receivable is if your client owes you any money. So in this case, coaching with Acme X, they still owe me $1,000. So I can make sure to remind them or track that time and bill them for it. Smart estimates right here. Again, if I am talking to somebody and needing to bill out a project, I could go, well, based on historical data, this is how many projects I've analyzed in custom web design, my average expenses, my average hours logged, all of the fees, so I can take that into account when I'm billing a client. So folks, that is Chronos time tracking. I am really excited to partner up with them in this workshop because I think it's really important to track your time intelligently without having to worry about it so that you can get on with your business, make the money that you deserve, and charge the value that you're offering for your clients. Okay, so stop thinking of yourself as a rogue employee and start thinking of yourself as a business owner. And a business owner needs to know where their time and their money is being spent so that they can properly get a return on that. And I'm confident that Chronos is going to help you with that. So go to bradhussey.ca/Chronos to sign up for your free account today. But Chronos is actually going to throw in a couple extra perks just for you as a workshop attendee. So those perks are going to be a free month of the pro version of Chronos, so you get access to everything, plus early beta access to the new invoicing feature they are integrating. And that's going to be available very soon. In fact, before the end of 2020. Chronos invoicing is going to tie this entire process together and make it really easy for you to bill your clients based on the time you're tracking. It's going to automatically log your payments, automate project creation based on the payments being received, and also smart estimate suggestions as you price out new projects. So go to bradhussey.ca/Chronos to get your free account today, plus access to all of those extra perks. And I hope you find this tool valuable. So with that said, let's get back to the workshop. All right, folks, how was that for a paid sponsorship placement? I think it was pretty graceful. It's nothing worse than when you're like watching a video or something and then like you have this like awkward, and now a word from our sponsors. I think there's a better way to do advertisements and things like that. And I truly believe that Chronos is an awesome tool for you to use in your business as freelancers. Lots of pricing tools out there, lots of different invoicing tools out there. Some of them are very expensive. Some of them are got really fancy marketing because they've got really big marketing and design teams behind them. But what makes Chronos different is that a couple really special things that I think are kind of a huge obvious points for me. So they're made just for freelancers. Not like, you can also use it in your accounting department and this and that and internal blah, blah, blah. It's only for freelancers. Max himself is and was a freelancer and is the CEO and is building this tool with his small team to create the best pricing tool with invoicing and smart estimates and all of what you just saw built into the tool just for you. So like not for like lots of different types of people, a really broad audience, only for freelancers. So that's kind of huge bonus number one. Bonus number two is that you personally have access to the CEO. So I know that that's actually a good thing because your recommendations, your questions, your suggestions, like what Jess said, hey, well, what was the question? Can they send me a really nice message if I've been undercharging? And she kind of asked that ironically, but Max, the CEO, says it's actually on our roadmap and we'll probably just show how much more you're making now. So like your recommendations, questions, frustrations even, send them to Max personally. When you sign up and you reply to an email from Chronos, it goes to Max for the time being. As they grow, there will be layers in between because the tool will improve over time and over time. But while they're growing, you have direct access to somebody who will immediately affect the change in the business and the direction of the product that you need. I know this as a fact. For example, ConvertKit and Teachable are both tools that I use. ConvertKit is now hugely popular email marketing tool, but I was signed up when it was like in its earliest stages. And I literally had direct Skype access and email access to Nathan Barry, the CEO. And I would like send him a question or like send him a recommendation or say, I really don't like that it does this or doesn't do this. And he would get that message. Now, in order to get access to Nathan Barry, it's like going through layers of defense, rightly so. They've got teams and systems in place to take care of my silly questions. And the tool is so big and significant now that it knows, it's got a roadmap of how it needs to complete things. But with Chronos, as they're growing, your recommendations become the tool. So that's why I think it's great. Other tools out there right now that are really established with big budgets and venture capital and momentum can't do that. Okay. So go to bradhussey.ca/Chronos right now. Type it in your browser. Don't leave this tab. Open a new one. Type bradhussey.ca/Chronos. Why that link? Because that link specifically gets you this offer we just said. Free account, beta access to pro features, and early access to invoicing. That is going to be tied in, plus any more features. And then Max and his team will know that you came from me and from Freelancing Freedom, and will give you, we'll know where you came from. We'll have context. So if you have recommendations or thoughts or questions, he'll be able to chime in on that. So let's see. Roland says, nice for Chronos, worth a try. I'll definitely give it a go and hopefully take it on, especially the invoicing and that report on the input or output of each project is awesome and helpful. That is awesome. Max says, in the future, we hope to create access level for subcontractors specifically so that you can delegate access for specific projects and things like that. These are good questions. Because right now they don't do multiple users, but if you trust someone enough, you can share your login. Even if you're logged in at the same time, everything still works, which is cool. But in the future, access levels for contractors, subcontractors will be in place. So again, these recommendations will affect what the tool becomes. So with that said, let's thank you again to Chronos, bradhussey.ca/Chronos. Go there right now, get your free account and get access to the specific offer that Chronos has put together for you from this workshop. Okay. bradhussey.ca/Chronos. All right. Questions. Throw your questions at me, folks, right now, and we'll answer a number of them, as many relevant ones as possible, to be respectful of your time. We're at our 2 hour and 8 minute mark, so I want to be respectful of your time and not go too overboard with the workshop. You're always more than welcome after this. If we don't get your question, if we don't get to your question, email it. My email is brad@freelancingfreedom.com. If you're confused about anything, if you have a question, throw it at Brad at freelancingfreedom.com. That email will come to me /Alea, to be totally clear. If it's a question that she can answer quickly without me needing to answer it, boom, you'll get a question answered. I'll answer certain questions as well that are more relevant to me or specific for me, but if your question's unanswered, we'll take care of it even after this. All right. Looks like we're having some chats with Chronos. Just got Chronos. My small business is still in the works, hoping to have a web presence by the end of the year, so I have time to play. Awesome, Rich. Congrats on that. Definitely have to keep Chronos in mind for future projects, says Seb Dizzle. And Susan, I'm happy to do that. Just send me an email. Ooh, so Susan asked, for those not so established, can we set up a free account and then use the pro month later once we have a client or two? Cool. And looks like Max will take care of that for you. Perfect. Kevin says, hey, Brad, what do you use for projects to keep them organized, tasks, etc.? And will Chronos have integration with that kind of platform? Good question. I'll leave the expert on that to answer the integration question. I'll leave that for Max. It depends on the project. Trello, Basecamp, for time tracking, I have Chronos on my phone now. So that is when I do client related work, I'm actually using Chronos. So I do day rates and fixed rates. I have a client call tomorrow. I'm going to track that call and I'm going to use it exclusively to battle test it. Yeah, Basecamp for project management. Now, in terms of like whether or not Chronos also will integrate project management into the tool or allow you to integrate it into natively or via Zapier, I'll leave that for Max. Meralda, we were going to talk about how to estimate pricing based on where your world and your clients are. Okay, so let's start with that question, Meralda. So estimating pricing based on where in the world your clients are. So yes, so it is no surprise that in this global economy, you can have a client. So I can be in Canada and I can have a client from, let's say, India. If I say to the client in India, that project is going to cost you $5,000 Canadian or US, relatively similar number for the most part. But to somebody from India, like the rupee, I believe it is, that's like not feasible for most. Doesn't make any sense. They cannot afford it just because of the currency exchange. That said, if there's somebody from India, think about this, who has an American client, and the American client is buying an outcome, not paying for hours. This is why Freelancer, Guru, Fiverr, Upwork, all these places, these marketplaces, they commoditize freelancers, typically from countries that have low costs of living. Because yeah, they can compete. They can compete on hours, and sure, when it comes down to hours, they'll always win. Somebody from India or somewhere in Africa or somewhere in like Eastern Europe, their hourly rates are just going to be less because they can. And so they can compete with you, Americans, Canadians, Western Europeans, on price. And they're probably even more skilled. So that is a problem if you're competing on price. That's why you don't compete on price. Now that said, it is an equalizer delivering on outcome. If you're from India and your cost of living is really low, but you can deliver an outcome and you're good at communicating that outcome, and your client pays for that outcome, let's say in US dollars, and that outcome costs $5,000 $5,000 for someone living in India, that's a big paycheck. Okay? That's a lot more headroom than I would have for a $5,000 project. Okay? Alea says to me, while we're talking with Max, that my questions are in the Trello board. Okay. Thank you, Alea. Let me pull that up. Office hours questions. So while I'm waiting for this to pull up, the question more so comes down to, I've had this question from, we have a couple students in the Freelancing Freedom launch course from India, and they go like, my client expects me to charge really low because I'm from India and because other Indian freelancers charge really low on Upwork. How do I get out of that? Well, you position yourself differently. You position yourself not as just say like a commoditized hourly freelancer where everyone else is charging $8 and $12 an hour, and you sell an outcome. Because I don't care if you're from Russia or somewhere in India, or if you're from like the other side of town. If I'm buying an outcome, then I'll pay for the outcome. That said, sometimes you need to outsource to a virtual assistant at a really commoditized rate. And that's why Upwork exists. People are happy to pay a fair hourly wage based on their geographic location for commoditized work. Nothing wrong with that. But if that's a problem for you and you can't make a living or you can't compete in that market, then you don't play that game. You sell the outcome and the value and not the hourly wage. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Max, for taking care of all the Chronos questions. Payal, question. I hope you'll speak about differentiating prices in the workshop. There we go. Hopefully that answered your question. Where in the world, clients are, Indians can't pay as much as Europeans, or Indians can't charge as much as Europeans, and also they can't pay as much. So if I have someone from India says, hey, Brad, I want to hire you as a coach, and I go, okay, it's going to be this much, let's say $1,000 for a certain arrangement. They go, I can't afford that. Then it comes down to the question of, okay, I don't think this is going to fit because I can't feasibly charge you $20, which would be more in the range of like a really affordable price, or $100. But what I can do, if I want to do the right thing, is create resources like this workshop. This workshop is free. Even if it was $50, that's still reasonable for pretty much everybody who has access to the internet. That said, it has more of a financial impact on somebody from India than somebody in my city. But that's why this is free. I create free resources as well. So can you. Okay, now Indians can charge as much as Europeans or Americans. Not if they're selling their time. because everyone knows you can just go to Upwork and find somebody from anywhere in the world with the lowest hourly rate possible. Okay? If you're playing that game, it's hard to compete. I couldn't give you advice on that because I would lose that game too. But you can charge based on outcomes and values and reposition your business and your brand as something that's not a commodity. Okay, good question. Thank you, Payal. Doug, as a client, I've been working for many years as a side gig. Now that I'm freelancing full-time, I now have this client that expects lower prices. How would you handle this? You position differently. You explain, you be honest. Be honest. I'm all about being honest and upfront. Hey, I'm full-time now. I'm running a full operation, and business is a lot more significant and expensive when it's your full-time operation and not like a side hustle. So naturally, things are going to cost more for me. So in order to take that into account, I need to charge different rates. Does that make sense? Does that, and this is you asking your client, does that sound fair? You're a reasonable person. I'm sure that sounds fair to you. So with that said, we're actually shifting from hourly rates altogether into this model. Here's why I think you're going to love this, and sell them on the benefits of that new model and the outcomes that you're giving to that client, rather than when I was a side hustle freelancer, I charged $28 an hour, but now I'm full-time and I charge $75 an hour. They go, nope. Change the conversation altogether. First, explain the situation, be honest. Then reshift the conversation. Good question, Doug. Susan says, is an hourly rate good for a 2-minute job that needs a roundup figure? No, don't do an hourly rate for that. Do fixed fee. Do fixed fee. And tell yourself internally, what is the least amount that you would offer for a fixed fee project? Say like, I only do fixed fee projects for little one-off things. It's always $100 at minimum. It might take you literally 28 seconds. And that's fine. I did when I was only doing freelance web design work, and that was the only income source that I had lots of I wish I knew about day rates, by the way, back then. But I'd have lots of people going, I need this fix, and I have an inbox, a backlog of this fix. And I always said it's a minimum of just I think it was $150. So I'd cash in at least a couple $1,000s a month just on little fixes because I fixed feed them. They could take an hour, they could take 2 minutes. I can get my virtual assistant to take care of it. So yeah, don't charge hourly for that. Because then if you're if it's a 2-minute job, you're charging hourly, are you going to charge $8 or what are you doing there? So yeah, fixed fee. Good question, Susan. Thank you. Bailey, question, ways to correct, fix, or explain taking longer than you thought it would take. And saying it will have something done in a week, but not quite ready then. Okay. The real solution to that is not getting yourself into that situation in the first place by selling an outcome, not hours, and selling value, selling results, selling a end result and the value and the benefit of having said end result. That's how you avoid that altogether. Now, many of us are still going to be charging hourly and estimating hours. And as we transition away from that, or maybe we're not comfortable with it yet, or maybe you don't believe me and you still just charge hourly for years to come. How do you explain yourself out of that? You either eat it and you learn from your mistake, and that's a costly learning lesson. Consider it the school of hard knocks. So you don't do it next time. So you estimate longer. Use my pricing calculator to know how long and how much you should charge. Use Chronos to find out how long it really took last time so that this time you don't underestimate. Or if you must explain because it's really not going to work for you, be honest. I underestimated. I made a mistake. And unfortunately, this is what's going to happen. Here are a couple options that we can go. Here's a compromise. Here's the best case scenario. What works best for you? Hat in hand, humbly approach them with your royal screw up. And don't do it again. Okay. Payal has another question here. Before I go, what's the difference between fixed rate and value-based? Well, you learned that in the slide, this section of the presentation of the workshop. Value-based is based on the value of the outcome for the client. Fixed rate is still time plus expenses multiplied by your hourly rate, and that's your fixed rate. Give it some padding, some other factors to give you some contingency, and we're calling it fixed rate. Bob's your uncle. Good question. Any last questions? That was my list of questions there. Feel free to throw them at me. I'll take one more question, actually, because we're rounding off on 2.5 hours, and I think that's a good workshop. Okay, Max is taking questions here. Let's go back to my screen. Max has got your questions all about your Chronos. This is great. Thanks, Brad. Bailey says, I will not do it again. I'm still experimenting with my overall product. So it's the first time doing menu design. Thanks, Brad. I won't do it again. Cool. Susan asks, how many projects would make a good Chronos trial amount? Susan, I'd encourage you to get started, even if you just have one. That way you still get the benefits in terms of staying organized. You start building data set to use those reports. Yep. Start with one. And the more you grow with Chronos, the more projects you add, the more meaningful your data will become. Use that in combination with the pricing calculator, and you will know you will be a master of your own numbers, and you'll be much more confident. So my goal for the end of this, like I said, what was the problem? To summarize this, the problem that I see is that freelancers are skilled practitioners but lousy at pricing because they're afraid, because they're ignorant of how to do it, and they don't have practice. And my goal was to teach you how to accurately and expertly price your solutions by learning how to price better, so you're not ignorant anymore, by being more confident in your price with Chronos and the pricing calculator, and by helping you practice how to do it. You have the pricing calculator and you have access to the workshop for life. This workshop is yours. Review it, use the tools, and that's the workshop about pricing. Meralda says, thank you, Brad. Excellent answers for the workshop. I appreciate it a lot. Gracias. De nada, Meralda. Thanks, Brad, says Rich. You're most welcome. And the Seb Dizzle says, thank you, Brad, for this very informative workshop. Opened my eyes a lot. Alea says, how can people get in touch with Max and his team after this workshop for questions? Amazing question. Max, how can people get in touch with you? Put your email in the box, in the chat box. And if it's not approved, then sometimes YouTube will block certain comments from being displayed for obvious reasons. But Max, put in your email there, how people can get in contact with you. Go to bradhussey.ca/Chronos for your free Chronos account with the early access to beta features and invoicing coming before the end of 2020. And that's special offers for you only if you're watching this workshop. Thanks again to Chronos for sponsoring the workshop. You got the workshop for free because of them. Kevin says, thanks, Brad. Very good information. Opened my eyes to a few different models. I'm glad to offer the information. Now it's your job, folks, to take that information and turn it into wisdom, turn it into practice. So take the information and do something with it. So take the pricing calculator, sign up for Chronos, use these pricing tips and strategies in your practice as a freelancer, as a consultant. Use it in your invoices and your proposals. Stop charging hourly rates just because you're afraid to do something different, and sell something more valuable than your hours. And your clients will be happier, and so will you. So thank you, folks. Thank you for coming, everybody. I really appreciate this. You are awesome. Love and blessings to you guys. Stay safe out there. And thanks again for coming to the workshop. Thanks to Chronos, and thanks to all of you. With that said, I am out. Cheers.